Everyone, and a very warm welcome to you from the School of Professional Accounting, and specifically the BCom in Accounting undergraduate department at Milpark Education. We're so excited to have you here and for you to join us this evening. Tonight's session is all about you, and we will be exploring the BCom in Accounting qualification and, most importantly, answering your questions so that you can make the right decision for your future career. I'm Naila Musaji, and I'm the head of department. I'm a qualified chartered accountant, and I joined Milpark Education in February 2023. It's been an incredible journey, and I'm very proud of the program we are going to share with you tonight. I have a few of my colleagues on the call with me this evening, and I'm going to hand over to them to briefly introduce themselves. Avanish.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Avinesh Sitaram. I'm the team leader for risk and governance. I'm also a qualified chartered accountant, and I do everything in the field of risk and governance. I'll hand over back to you, Naila.
Laura.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. So I am the team leader for strategy and leadership. I'm not a qualified chartered accountant. I am, in fact, a CIMA member. And in my theme, what we do is we teach you how to strategize and we give you all the tools to lead. And that is really what I am all about. Yes.
Thank you very much, Laura. Janine.
Hello, everyone. I'm Janine Nell. I'll be one of your first year lecturers. You'll see me throughout the whole of the first year. I am not a chartered accountant or CIMA registered. I'm, in fact, a business strategy specialist. My background is in business. My master's is in strategic foresight from Stellenbosch Business School. And I'm here to take you through the IPAS module, the economics and foresight, and also the principles of macro and microeconomics.
That's awesome. Thanks, Janine. And then Zamashenga.
Thanks, Naila. Hi, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm Zamashenga Buthelezi, but you're more than welcome to call me Zama. I am also a newly qualified chartered accountant, and I am under the risk and governance theme under Avnish. And I'm going to be taking you through risk and governance for complex information systems. That's a second year module. Basically, we are focusing on the governance and also the risk from the business perspective. And also, I will be taking you through the auditing module in the third year. That is where I am basically taking you through the auditing process from an external audit perspective. Thank you.
Thank you so much, team. And we're also so excited to have with us today Iman Khan, one of our students. And later through the session, you will hear a little bit more about Iman's journey. So thank you very much. And as we move through the session, please feel free to post any of your questions in the chat. We'll also have a dedicated time at the end for your questions so that you can leave the session feeling confident. If you have a question at the end, please raise your hand and then we will unmute you. Please do not unmute yourself. So one of the questions we often get asked is, what makes this BCom in Accounting degree unique? First and foremost, the degree, the Chartered Accountancy pathway, is fully SAICA endorsed by the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. But most importantly, and the most amazing thing for me and for us as a team, is that it was designed from the get-go using the CA of the Future competency framework. So what does that actually mean? It means that everything you will see and all the thinking is embedded into how we teach, what we teach, through our delivery, our assessment design, and the learning behaviors that we expect from our students. So as you heard, Avanish and Laura introduced themselves as theme leaders. So what exactly is a theme leader? So a theme leader is a subject head in the traditional sense. So a subject matter expert who oversees the entire discipline across the qualification. So we have 4 themes within our program: financial reporting and compliance, risk and governance, analysis and decision-making, and strategy and leadership. So tonight, we are fortunate to have with us our 2 theme leaders. One of my favorite parts of this degree is how we have repackaged the content. So rather than learning topics in isolation, you are then introduced to a case study early on in your degree within a South African business context. And we use this case study to actually integrate all the disciplines, so all the themes you will see working through the case study. And as you grow your technical knowledge and your personal skills throughout this journey, that business grows with you, making what you're learning practical and relevant. So where do you start if you join us? So you start off with a course called Introduction to Professional Accounting Studies. We call it in our team IPAS. And Janine over here, who holds a master's, she was a bit humble there, but holds a master's in degree in strategy and foresight. She leads this space. So Janine, we would like to hear from you. Can you tell us a little bit about IPAS and then also touch a bit about that unique module that you teach, economics and foresight, and why do you think this is an important starting point for our students?
Thanks, Naila. Yes, so welcome everyone for arriving here this evening and listening to what we're about. And Naila mentioned the fact that this is a very innovative degree. And in fact, it is an innovative degree. It is so innovative that I'm in fact got nothing to do with accounting, right? I'm here because my background is in business strategy. And we start off with IPAS, where we look at different aspects about business. What on earth is a business about? How does it operate in the South African context? What aspects of business do we need to know about? We go a little bit further and we push you a little bit and we talk about values and what are your personal values, because you need to make decisions as an accountant on your personal level, but you can't make a decision if you have no values. So we talk about that a little bit and we talk about competing values. We're going to ask you to put a business plan together. We're going to ask you to look at marketing and who is your market and the market segmentation. And all of that is going to prepare you to deal with different aspects from business. Then when you finish that, you are going to move on to your first year modules. And the first one you're going to come across is economics and foresight for business strategy, where you'll meet me once again. And that module looks at very high level economic principles, but then also very importantly, how do we apply foresight? How do we think about the future? And how does that feed into our business strategy? Added onto that with economics, all of these things are done so that we continuously ask the question, why are we learning this? Why do I need to know? Why do I need to know trends? Why do I need to know what's going to happen in the future with business? Why do I need to identify trends? Because it affects you personally and it affects the businesses within you operate. You are going to be able to identify what's happening in an industry, what's happening in the country, and why it matters. Ideally, what we want you to do is when you walk into a business one day after you've finished your PGDA and you've done all your ITC board exams and you're walking into a business, when you pick up your first financial sheets or whatever the case might be, you don't just look at a sheet. You think, okay, where does this business belong? What has this industry been doing? What should I expect to be seeing on these sheets? Because then when something stands out, you know, this shouldn't be here. And you become far more valuable. You are no longer just an accountant or a chartered accountant. You are a business strategist who can advise and add value on a business level. So we are not in the business of producing accountants. We are in the business of developing and helping you develop into well-rounded business analysts, understanding the context that you're going to work in so that you can bring value to the businesses you operate. So we look forward to seeing you. Yes, it's a lot of fun to look at business. We fall under the strategy theme. But I want to also iterate something Naila mentioned, is that every single thing that you will come across during your first and second year, you will come across again in your third year. You are doing no work in isolation as a once-off. What we're going to talk about in EFBS or economics and foresight about stakeholders and who they are and why on earth should you care about who they are. Avinesh's team is going to talk to you about the legislation that surrounds stakeholders. So you can't forget anything is what I'm trying to say. You need to know the word, and I'm not talking about memorizing it. You need to understand it. And when you understand it, there's no such thing as having to cram or study because you know what it means. And that's the point we're trying to get you to. So that's it from my side, Naila.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Janine. And that's excellent insights. And I liked how you touch on how important the why is to us, because that why is very important as to why you're doing what you're doing and how eventually how you can add value to a business as a future business leader. I'd like to now move on to Avinesh. So Avinesh, our theme leader for risk and governance. Avinesh, can you tell us a little bit about where your theme fits into the program and maybe highlight some of the key skills that students develop that makes this theme unique?
Thank you, Naila. As Naila mentioned initially, we actually have a case study, and we actually use this case study from humble beginnings of a business, of a person being a sole proprietor, and then moving on to basically a PTY Limited, and ultimately a company. And what's nice about this entire program is that we now are integrating all our knowledge and topics that we have into this business. So you will literally see how the business actually grows over your 3 years of study, and you will see how those topics are actually integrated in the business. So we kick off from first year, and where we look at legislation. And basically, it's to understand what legislation is out there in South Africa and how does that impact you as a sole proprietor, thereafter as a company, and so on. So it's basically setting the ground in terms of ensuring that wherever there's legislation, there needs to be compliance. Otherwise, you may have to face the consequences of non-compliance. So that's pretty much a very high-level view of the first year. And then we basically follow a very much of a business type of approach where you are like literally in a company, and as a professional accountant to be, you will be performing various roles within the business. And on a day-to-day business, you will basically be faced with a hell of a lot of risks that you may be faced, that you may face. And when we jump into year 2, we actually tackle all these business risks. And we're going to ask the question as to what now? What do we do with these risks? How do we assess it? How do we now actually put in controls to actually mitigate those risk areas? So in year 2, we basically look at risk and the process that we follow. We look at also the governance procedures and processes that is within the business, looking at more the leaders, the directors, the managers. How are they, or what are they actually doing in business so that we can ensure a successful business at the end of it all? So, and then we basically look at processes, both being from a manual context as well as integration of a whole lot of IT within the business. So that's pretty much your year 2. And then jumping onto year 3, we now look at a further in-depth knowledge of legislation and advanced principles in risk and governance. And we see from a stakeholder point of view, how does legislation impact not only the business, but should you now worry about legislation that may impact on a supplier or a customer? So if it does apply to them, so how does it now affect the business, for example? And then we look at, now that we've actually progressed so much in years, where our business now has become a listed company or is going to become a listed company, what are the effects of things like King 5, integrated reporting, and advanced IT technologies? So right up to that point, we're looking at you as a professional accountant playing those various different roles, as I mentioned earlier on, within a business in order to actually see what actually goes on in there. So it's a very much of a practical, integrated approach that you will obviously see in the real business world. And then lastly, once you basically understood the entire operation of a business, what goes on, the leaders, how successful you can be, how sustainable you can be with the business, then you now change roles, and now you become an external auditor. And then at that point, you would basically fully understand what goes on in the business. So when you are now the external auditor, you will study external auditing, and then you will look from the outside into a business and provide that independent opinion about the businesses, annual financial statements, and its operations. So that's pretty much the risk and governance theme that we actually do in the BCom accounting program. Thank you.
Thank you, Avinash. And I think I just want to highlight, as you see here, Avinash and Janine speak, they're very passionate, and you'll hear from some of my other colleagues, but we are the faces behind the program. So yeah, we want to welcome you, and we want to share this amazing program with you. So this leads me to Zama. So Zama, you're actually in a unique position here. You've experienced Milpark education from both sides as a student in our postgrad, and now you have joined us as a lecturer. Can you share a little bit with us your journey, and why do you think the CASA, Chartered Accountant of South Africa, qualification remains relevant in businesses today?
Thank you so much, Naila. I think I can describe myself as one of those students who has really, lost hope in the CASA dream. When I joined Milpark, I attempted my CCA for the third time. because I attempted the first and second attempt with other universities and I wasn't successful. And to be quite honest, I was at a point where I was actually giving up on this CSA dream. And then I joined Milpark as a student where I did my third attempt of the CTA and things changed. I saw my potential and that's where I realized actually that I'm more than capable to do everything, and I'm more than capable to qualify as CSA and also be an expert in something that has to do with accounting. So one thing that I can say that really changed in my journey as a student, it was the support that I received from Milpark. And when I say support, I mean support from each and everyone who is part of Milpark as a staff, like support from SSWAs, support from the lecturers, support from the assistant lecturers. Like everyone was willing to partner with me in my journey, was willing to assist me in any way that they can in order for me to be successful. So I would say that that was one of the things that was quite different in my journey. And that was when I actually realized that actually I can become a CSA and I'm more than capable to do everything. So I would say that the support is very different. And also the quality of education that you receive from Milpark is very different as compared to the other universities. So I would say that even the skills and also the concepts that I've learned in Milpark, I was able to apply them in my workplace as well, because that's when I was doing my CTA while I was doing my articles as well. So I was able to, implement some of the skills that I learned throughout my PGDA and apply them in the workplace. So I would say that Milpark really, really changed my mind and my life, sorry. And that is why I also chose to join Milpark as an academic. And that was really a life-changing moment for me, because it was like I'm giving back to a system that really worked for me. And also one thing that I've learned is that, the way lecturers from Milpark teach, it's really different, because they are teaching you, they are motivating you at the same time, and they are willing to help you in every way that they can in order for you to be successful. And also one thing that I can say that the CSA dream remains very relevant is because once you qualify as a chartered accountant, once you have those 4 letters behind your name, you are an expert in something. Everyone needs you. Every industry needs you. You are more than capable of doing everything that has to do with accounting. And that is where I realized that this CSA dream, or rather this CSA profession, is very relevant because you can do whatever. Like, for example, I'm in academia, someone is in corporate, someone is in audit, someone is in financial management, someone is in consulting. So you can do everything that has to do with the accounting profession. You can do it so long as you have those CSA, or rather those 4 letters behind your name. So one thing that I can say that Milpark will definitely change your life, and Milpark will definitely change your academic journey. Thank you.
Sure, Sama, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And just while you were talking, I love what you were saying, and just got goosebumps for just your journey and how well it went. And you loved us so much, you came back as a lecturer to join our team. So I think what you said there also I just wanted to highlight something for the students. So you mentioned the support that you got. So I just wanted to highlight that we do have 2 options for students. So if you're working, we can accommodate you. We've got a half workload option for students, and then we've also got the full-time option for you. So the program is flexible, and we have our live sessions in the evenings to accommodate those of you who are working. So another thing that Zama mentioned was the professional accountant, and a few of my colleagues have mentioned it. And what's exciting for us and new in the program this year is that we have launched a management accounting specialization. So Laura is CGMA qualified. Laura, can you tell us a little bit about this qualification and why would a student choose this route?
Yes, so the CGMA, well, it was actually CIMA, which is the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants. It started back in, I think, 1919 or whatever in the UK. It's the largest professional body of management accountants. And they then joined with the association, I think it's the American Independent Association of Accounting. Anyway, so now it's a whole thing. CIMA has now become a global professional body that houses these management accountants. So you can do what financial accountants do, but it's more about if you want to do forecasts, or if you want to do budgeting, or if you want to be more on the strategic side of a business, or if you want to do anything in managing that accounting. So the CIMA qualification, was great about that one, or the ACMA, CGMA, like you said, the Certified Global Management Accountant. It is a globally recognized professional body. So once you become a member, it's internationally recognized. You can go and work anywhere in the world. It's a very highly regarded professional designation. And yeah, do you want me to tell them about the new module that started?
Yes, you can share.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So this semester, we have now launched an additional module for the CIMA stream. So it is Strategic Management for Sustainable Organizations. It's running for the first time this semester. And what's great about this module is that it covers things like entrepreneurship, development of sustainable organizations, because you can have an organization and it can run for a few years, but then it's just going to fall flat, so what do you need to do for that? Organizational management, organizational structure. Then we go into some sustainability reporting, because you need to report on that. And what is lovely about this module is it talks about global ethical management. And what it also talks about is project management, which is very, very important when you are going into a business, because we all have projects in our lives. Our daily day is a project. So that's what this module is about. So that is the very first module in the new CIMA stream. The second module will be launched in the second semester. So yes, so if you want to go the CIMA route by the time you get to third year, there's your option. If you want to do the module as an additional module, that's also an option. So yes, we're very excited about that. Yes.
Sure, that is some exciting stuff, Laura. And I think just when all my colleagues are talking, one thing that stands out for me is just that we're developing a well-rounded graduate, and the future business leaders of South Africa. So what are you waiting for? So I just wanted to also highlight one of my other favorite things. I've got so many favorite things about the program, but one of my other favorite things is that each student on this program, on the qualification, no matter what pathway you choose or stream you choose, each student gets the opportunity to perform a Gallup Clifton Strengths Finder. So this is an assessment that you do early on in the program, just to identify your natural strengths. And then throughout the program, as you move on from year 1 to year 3, you engage in intentional reflection points where you can learn how to apply your strength, building your self-awareness, helping you with your collaborative skills, and even asking, which brings you to ask your question of what value can you bring? So yeah, that was just something that I wanted to highlight. So like I mentioned in the beginning, we're also fortunate to have Iman Khan with us. I see in the chat someone has said she's also one of our first graduates of this year. So Iman, firstly, I want to say congratulations. It's an incredible achievement. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey on the program? And everyone's asking, how did you do this?
Hi everyone, my name is Iman. I'm a BCom accounting graduate from Milpark, and I'm actually doing my PGDA with Milpark this year as well. So please, I'm really hoping that this year goes well, but I know I am fully prepped from my undergrad to take me through the CA stream. So besides studying, I have been working on the side as well. That's just a little background on me. So why this is really, really relevant is because I don't sit in a little accounting box. I use this accounting qualification every single day, from understanding the numbers to asking better questions to making even smarter decisions. So accounting really became the tool for question at the end of how I did it. I think the most important thing was consistency. It was structure. It was to make sure that I keep up to my work every single day, to make sure that I don't fall behind, because the more you fall behind, the harder it is to catch up. I made sure that I sought the assistance of that Milpark offers. I used every single resource. I asked questions where I needed to, and I just kept with the modules, kept with the workflow, and I think that's how I just made it.
Sure. Thank you for sharing, Iman. And maybe just tell us a little bit about what did you find was the hardest part of this program that nobody warned you about?
So, as I said, consistency is really important to finishing this degree and making it to the end. I found consistency to be the hardest part. I feel like nobody really warns you to stay disciplined. You just have to do it for yourself. Your motivation drops when in moments that you don't need it to drop. Work builds up, you fall behind, and things just become a lot harder. Another thing that I learned that is really hard to manage was the pressure. Accounting did teach me to think under stress and to work within those very limited time frames. So while that is tough, it's actually one of the most valuable skills that I can say that I learned and that I would take into my working world with me.
No, that's awesome. And you know, I know you mentioned that you are working as well. So maybe share with our future students over here, what support made the biggest difference to you as a student?
So I think it would be maybe a combination. It would be the support that you get from Milpark, but I think it's also the structure that you set for yourself. So having people who also understood the workload, that encouraged me to work harder, I think that made a very big difference for me. At the same time, as I said, structure. So creating my own routine, making sure that I set the time that I need to study. And I held myself accountable every single step of the way. If my module wasn't done for that specified day, I knew I was not having a weekend. So I think
Sure.
that basically structure and support was key for me.
Well done. Sounds like you have so much discipline and time management skills. So well done. Tell me a little bit about what surprised you about studying online.
So studying online, I think what surprised me the most was just taking ownership of your learning. So you learn management, you learn self-discipline, you learn how to problem solve on your own. But I think like appreciating those skills that you're learning when you are studying online and appreciating how much these are relevant in both your work life as well as your normal life. So it can feel isolating at first. Studying online is very intimidating at first, but you just have to find your rhythm. It builds your confidence because you realize that at the end, you're actually capable to do this on your own.
No, thank you for sharing. And I think that's an important point that you raised about taking ownership of your studies, because just so that everyone knows, we are asynchronous first. So that means that while we do release our material in bite-sized pieces every Friday, you will be released new material. It's structured, but it's paced learning. So everything is built onto our learning management system, and there's videos, and it's an interactive online environment. Yeah. So Iman, maybe share with someone that's sitting here today that's feeling nervous about studying. What advice would you give to them?
I would say feeling nervous is completely normal. Don't to have I think what matters is showing up to those lectures, showing up every single day with sitting with your books, being consistent. And also, I think just being patient with yourself. There's going to be topics you don't know. There's going to be times where you have zero motivation. But if you're willing to put in that work, if you're willing to ask for help when you need it, and just keep going, even when it feels hard, you'll be surprised with how much you can achieve. And one day you'll look back and you'll realize that you are more capable than you ever thought.
So thank you so much for that advice, Iman. And just so everybody knows, your lecturers are also available for consultation hours. So we make ourselves available, and you can book with your lecturer for those modules, a slot, and you have that one-on-one interaction with your lecturer if you're struggling with anything, just to work on topics. And yeah, you can book as many consults as you want as well. So yes, so now we've reached the point of questions. So I'm now opening the floor, and let's get this discussion going.
Naila, if I could maybe add something that, because I think what Iman said earlier on, I don't think it can be emphasized enough. And I think Iman is one of those students who really did it. Those students who will get to know me know that I regularly say to them in advance that I will be nagging. And my nagging is about scheduling your work and your study. exactly as Iman did. And I encourage students to draw up a calendar and a schedule. Firstly, add your personal commitments. Your mom's birthday, your dad's birthday, your wife's birthday, your children's birthday. When are you having a braai with your family? When are you going to the cricket match? What are you doing? Then you schedule your exams and your test dates in your schedule. And you make sure that you know when you need to do what. I think what else she said was the fact that it is hard. Please know that any form of studying will require a sacrifice. You will not be able to sit and watch TV every night until 1 o'clock. Okay, that is, you can schedule one night to do that, but it does require a bit of sacrifice, whether you do it full-time online or via any other format. It's a sacrifice. But there's no education in the world that is not absolutely worth it. It doesn't matter what degree you do. Okay, so it's worth it. You will have to make a couple of sacrifices, but your life does not end for 3 years. Please just know that. It's very important that you have a life. It's very important that you attend your family's birthday, because otherwise you will become despondent, as Iman says. It will just happen a lot. And we don't want you to do that. We want you still to be a happy person. There will be times of stress. There will be times ahead of tests or exams when things get tough. But that's what the support structure is for, the student support and wellness advisors, your lecturers. When things don't go well, reach out to us. We are so willing to help you. Let us know what we can help you with. But so thank you for Iman for mentioning that and emphasizing that consistency, because I think it's super important. And I think students do think I nag and they block it out, but I think it's so important that you have a schedule and that you know that you have a life and study.
Now, awesome. Thank you for that, Janine. We appreciate the nagging. Sometimes everybody needs nagging to be pushed in the right direction. So thank you. So I actually had a look through our participants and I noticed quite a few of our students also joining us tonight. So thank you for joining us and for supporting us. And I would like to open the floor now to questions. So I'll start off with the first question that I see before me, and that is, I'm trying to say this is a full program or a learnership. So this is a full qualification. It's a degree. It's CHE accredited. It is SAICA endorsed. So yes, it's not a learnership. It's a full degree. Any other questions from the floor? You can raise your hand and then you will be unmuted. Okay, when does registration close? So registration will close so if you are joining us as a junior student, our registration closes on the 23rd of February.